أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربي أعزني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وادخلني برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. Oh Lord, enable me to be grateful for the blessings you have given me and my parents, and that we may do righteous deeds accepted by you, and admit us by your mercy into the company of your righteous worshippers. Ameen, 1,000 times Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everybody. Inshallah, all is well. Happy Saturday. We will continue on our journey of exploring how mysterious this universe is and what do I make out of it with what I observe and my experiences. And so today we will pick up from page 632 of the 15th, right? The 9th step. Let's begin. 9th step. And through the mystery of a Quran of dignity, inscribed with particles of ether. And through the mystery of a Quran of dignity, inscribed with particles of ether on an atom or minutest particle, not being of less eloquence or wondrous art than a Quran of grandeur, written with the ink of the stars and suns on the pages of the heavens. On the page of the heavens. Similarly, through their relation to the power of the universe's creator. Through their relation to the power of the universe's creator. The blooming rose, not being of less eloquence and art than the star of Venus, nor the ant being inferior to the elephant, nor the microbe inferior to the rhinoceros, nor the bee inferior to the date palm. Moreover, the extreme ease and speed in the creation of things causes the people of misguidance to confuse formation with self-formation. Interesting. Moreover, the extreme ease and speed in the creation of things causes the people of misguidance to confuse formation with self-formation, which necessitates innumerable impossibilities and is a delusion, while it proves to the people of guidance that in relation to the power of the universe's creator, particles and stars are equal. May his glory be exalted, for there's no God but he. God is most great. It's interesting. There is no God but he. God is most great. I've wanted to explain the meaning of this last step at length, but regrettably, I have been prevented by my extreme distress arising from arbitrary oppression and harassment and my weakness and serious sickness resulting from poisoning. I have therefore been compelled to suffice with a brief indication. That is, if a Quran of mighty stature was written on a particle which is supposed to be invisible, if a Quran of mighty stature was written on a particle which is supposed to be indivisible and called in the science of theology, kalam, and in philosophy, Johar-e-Fard, in particles of ether, which is matter, even finer. And if another mighty Quran was written in stars and suns on the pages of the heavens, then the two were compared. The microscopic Quran written in particles would not be inferior in respect of marvels and miraculous art than the vast Quran gliding the face of the heavens. Indeed, in some ways, it would be superior. If a Quran of mighty stature was written on a particle which is supposed to be indivisible and called in the science of theology and in philosophy, in particles of ether, which is matter even finer, and if another mighty Quran was written in stars and suns on the pages of the heavens, then the two were compared. The microscopic Quran written in particles would not be inferior in respect of marvels and miraculous art than the vast Quran gliding the face of the heavens. Indeed, in some ways, it would be superior. What does that mean? For I was thinking, based on our discussion from last time, particular and universal, point to absoluteness in terms of helping me connect to the source of existence. So, well, let's see again what's going on here. So the author started us off by observing every little details, intricacies we notice around us. Ant, elephant. One may describe the ant as being tiny, powerless, whereas elephant also, oh, it's big, fat, powerful. But as far as the existence of an ant and the existence of an elephant is concerned, we cannot say that the ant is inferior to an elephant, for all of it points or bring message to me about something that I'm in need of. And in other words, everything is displaying a continuous act of creations, qualities that are manifested in it, is really letting me know how great the artist of the ant would be, which is also the artist of the elephant. So let me reread what Nursi here is saying. Maybe I'm not sure why he meant that. Indeed, in some ways it would be superior. I don't know. Maybe if anybody wants to jump in, chime in on that, we can do that. Otherwise, I'll continue reading the next paragraph, and maybe it will make sense and we come back. So let's see. Let's just go ahead, Ali Murmur.
We have been studying and emphasizing at one point in our studies that the oneness of God, Tawheed, in Quranic language, is understood as, we use the word by borrowing from Nursi, Qudrat Mutlaqa, Ilm Mutlaqa, which means absolute power, absolute knowledge. So benefiting from this word used in the Risale-i Nur, although there are some terminologies accepted by Muslim scholars, but not found in the Quran. One of them is Wajibul Wujud, the existence of who is necessarily existent, as it is translated into English. This terminology doesn't exist in the Quran, and some classical scholars say that these words are not mentioned in the Quran, so we cannot really use as one of the attributes of God. That is classical approach to the Quran as they read it literally. But Nursi doesn't do so. And there are many other scholars who are not categorized in classical scholarship as one line, only one line. There are other lines as well. And the majority of the scholars fall into this category. But some minority scholars are using this kind of language quite heavily. One of the vocabularies that Nursi adopts, but classical scholarship is hesitant in using it. One is, this is mutlaq. But we see that Nursi uses, we understand that mutlaq means infinite. Of course, since this word is not used in the Quran, and it didn't become popular. So what is left when you don't use the word mutlaq is ahad, wahid, tawheed. Which are all Quranic approach that literally ahad, wahid means making the things into one. Tawheed, Tawheed doesn't mean one. Making something into one. uniting it, uniting everything together, every quality united in the essence of God. This is called Tawheed. Ahad means one. The only one also may mean. Wahid means the one who is the one. I mean, being the one. It is an active participle. So if you really look at the word, you cannot get absoluteness of God, infiniteness, absoluteness, incomprehensibility of the essence of God. I mean, these meanings are included in these words, but it needs a special questioning. What do we mean by one God? Of course, one means one. No, there is no other God. Why? What does it mean? How can I apply it when I observe the universe? In the universe, we see that multiple things exist. We see that multiple qualities are manifesting. And the Quran itself says we created everything in pairs. What do you mean by there is only one God, there is no other God? What do you mean there is no other God? These are ambiguous languages. They need to be explained. And we found in Nursi's explanation the word absolute. And in the Muslim scholars' expression, the language, wajibul wujud, the necessarily existent one. It means translation. Because necessarily existent one infers that not that it is something which is dependent on the circumstances. There may be, there may not be existent, which is called, let me see, mumkin in Arabic, but in English, not. I mean, you know it. I'm definitely, you know the word. Mumkin means not the probable, but
possible.
No. I mean, the meaning is possible. You are right, but there is a technical word that we keep using it in the text.
Necessary, essential.
No, just suppose necessary, contingent. Yeah. Thank you, Farah. Thank you. Contingent beings. Now, the wajibul wujud, not contingent, not dependent on anything else for its existence. It is self-existing, qaim bizat in Arabic. It means really self-sustaining. Its existence is self-sustaining existence. It means not like. That is what we usually emphasize in our discussions here in this room. Not like any part of this universe, any part of created beings, because the concept of creator is not easy to comprehend, maybe impossible to comprehend. Creator, we cannot comprehend it only after we look at the universe and understand that it needs to be given existence, created. That logical conclusion says if something needs to be existent, to be given existence, which is created, then it needs a creator. That is logical conclusion. Not because we comprehend the capacity of the creator, because there is no example of it. Human imagination cannot reach it, which means it is logically understood, comprehensible, whereas we cannot get the essence of it. Mutlak also is the same kind of word. Absolute, infinite. No one can define infinite without defining finite. Finite is here in the world. There is a beginning, there is an end. That is finite. That's what I know. If a contingent being is finite, then the source of existence of the contingent being must be infinitely absolute, infinitely self-existing, infinitely necessarily existent one, because necessarily infers that it is a logical conclusion. But classical scholarship is very sensitive about reducing Iman to logical conclusion. Why? They say Iman takes place in heart. That is correct. Iman takes place in heart. But the process starts in mind, human reasoning, human intellect. Then starting from human consciousness, which is important, and human consciousness forces human beings. We have to understand this process. It is very important. It is extremely important, and it is not very much known among the people. Only some specialist people are aware of it. Consciousness is different from reasoning. Consciousness infers, or consciousness means that you automatically, as within your own existence, automatically acknowledge the necessity of something. For example, I must have a purpose in my existence. I must have a source of existence. Where is it? Some people try to understand this, for example, source of existence, because it is the necessary conclusion of the function of consciousness, because if there is here something happening, I must look for the cause of it. Materialistic intended or tended people go and refer the source of existence of anything to itself, and source of existence of human being to a process of material activities, accidental activities, happen to be in this way, because it fitted the order of the universe, But it is, we understand that to question the source of existence of a contingent being is very human. And everybody knows that universe is continuously changing, therefore contingent. Because changing from one status into another status of existence, which means contingent. Therefore, the contingent being may come from matter itself or from an agent who gave existence to it. So human beings are free to choose one of these two options, but we have no choice not to question the source of existence of anything. That's why people go back to the first second that an atom exploded. For them, source of existence of the universe is this atom exploded. Why? It was full of energy, whatever it is. How do you describe it? We don't know. But we know everything after the second. Even they coin now the new language. It's ridiculous. They say we know just after the explosion up to the 0.1 billion one. It means we know everything, just on the one thing we don't know. What is that? The source of existence of the atom itself. How come it appeared there? We don't know that. Of course, because the source of existence cannot be the atom. And they cannot make a theory out of it. So lots of cheap words are really blowing the minds of the people, or how do you say, conditioning the minds of young people who question under the title of science. This is the most dangerous source nowadays that we have to be absolutely aware of. We should have no concern at all but these kind of tricks. These are very important tricks that controlling the minds of the people. Anyways, and really, how do you say, like magicians, playing with the words, etc. These are very important points. So, in human consciousness is not under human free will. It automatically acts. Whereas human mind works according to the preference of the free will. If someone wants not to submit his existence to a creator, human mind starts human mind will be employed in this direction, and it will start finding out reasoning evidences if as much as he can make sense of it. And on the other hand, if someone says the source of existence of the universe must necessarily be something really not within the universe, but out, then human mind starts working there according to the free choice of a human being. That's why responsibility is laid on free choice, not what we conclude. No, free choice. This is the source of responsibility for us. So mind is dependent on human choice. Consciousness is independent. What is going on in the world is a big problem now. Materialist people want to reduce the consciousness into reasoning, putting into reasoning category so that they can really relate it to brain activities, materialize that. We have to be very conscious what's going on in the world. Now, it is these matters are not simple matters at all. We have to understand what is going on, and we have to know that. Now, what happens now? Reason, consciousness forces human beings necessarily to question the source, cause. So, mind finds out under the control of the human free will, either this way or another way, find out the reasoning way. If someone says, okay, I will look at it freely without any biased idea, so is there anything in the world who can give existence to the universe? Then human being understands that no, there must be a creator. Now, that is common point for everyone, but now, there must be a creator, and this conclusion comes to human feelings now. Human feelings starts getting involved into the subject. Human feelings needs to be satisfied. That is why classical scholarship says Iman happens in the heart, which is correct, because finalized and confirmed what the brain or the mind, not the brain, sorry, it was very big mistake, what the human reasoning concluded. And it is presented to human feelings, and if the conclusion goes to an absolute being, human feelings, which are open to unlimited expectations, confirms it easily. Whereas if you reduce it to matter, human feelings don't confirm it and fall into despair, saying, I will die and go into non-existence. I will be just non-existent thing as a human being. Matter will be there, but as a human being, I will be non-existent. That is complete despair, contradicts human feelings. That is why we call them kafir. It means really denying what the human feelings tell human beings that what he is doing is wrong. They contradict their human feelings. These are the things we have to be aware of what's going on within us. It is not that simple that I believe, he doesn't believe. It's not that simple at all. We have to know how the process is taking place. Now, when we say one God, human feelings don't get satisfied with it. Why? One God. Okay. There is one God, or there are multiple gods. So what? How about my expectations? How are you going to satisfy my expectations? Now, again, watch out. It's a very important process. Human feelings rejects this superficial understanding of oneness of God. What we need to understand, the Creator cannot be found in the created beings. Now, there must be an external factor. When we say that, it's very simple. The glass is broken. We look for the fact cause must be external.
Excuse me, Brother Ali. We lost you after you said the glass is broken.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank
the internet is unstable. I see the sign as well. So please warn me that you can hear. But sometimes I see the sign saying on the screen, your internet connection is unstable. Sometimes, as you said now, really it cuts off. Sometimes it doesn't cut off. So please let me know. So the glass is broken. The human consciousness says, what was the cause? And we say, because of the temperature inside and outside, temperature, pressure, not temperature, pressure forced the glass to change its shape. Of course, glass cannot change its shape, its nature is that, so it breaks. I understood why. Do you understand how human mind works? But what cause of the break of the broken glass is not dependent on our free choice. It is consciousness, automatic. It means human spirit asks this question. It is in our human nature. It is, that's how our manufacturer setting is. We cannot change it. This is, Suhail came a bit late. This was a very interesting, Suhail. You can listen to the recordings. Anyways, so how the process is going now? Consciousness, just a very quick summary. doesn't depend on choice, free choice, but reasoning is according to the direction of the free choice. But human feelings, confirmation of the human feelings also doesn't depend on the human free will. It automatically loves beauty. It automatically loves happiness. It automatically hates injustice. It automatically rejects 2 + 2, 3. And it doesn't, it doesn't work. I didn't like it. So these are automatic feelings, but we may condition our feelings by suppressing them, like the mind may be employed in denying the creator, finding out excuses in order to understand the existence of the universe. But the nature of human feelings look for eternal happiness, eternal satisfaction. But human feelings are endless, and the limits of satisfaction are also endless. The only thing, the only thing that we have to understand here, saying that God is one doesn't satisfy human spirit. It needs further explanation. That's why Nursi keeps repeating, saying that, look, the bigger, the smaller, the atom and the whole star are the same before God. What does it mean? He is an infinite one. That is, one means infinite. And infinite is a vocabulary employed by the mathematicians. And of course, its nature is correct, not finite. But they define it in different sections. What infinite means in this section, what infinite means in this section. So what they did, they, if you like, hijacked the word and specify it to mathematical calculations. But the nature of the word infinite is correct because it denies or rejects finiteness, if you like, finality or something. It denies it, infinite, just the opposite of finite, which is correct. La ilaha illallah, like la ilaha illallah. So we say not finite means infinite. That is correct, logically consistent. But because they hijacked it and some sort of, if you like, make it sound scientific and mathematical expression only, we avoid from the confusion, and we use absolute, what Nursi does as well. So we learned it from Nursi, and it made sense to us. So we are studying towards the end of the 4th volume of the Nursi's writings, and towards the end, Nursi is heavily emphasizing the reflections and teach us how oneness of God means infinite, absolute. Before absolute, there is no difference whether one atom or the whole universe, and what is the whole universe, even more than the whole universe, another creation is the same, because it is the result of just willing. That's it. He doesn't have to work on it, because source is infinite. For the infinite, everything is possible, correct, but at the same time, possibility of each being also is the same. That's what we are studying here. Now, when we come to the conclusion of the mind, it means reasoning process, saying that the universe must have a creator, which is not of the same kind of itself, the universe. So there must be an external factor. And the external factor, if we say that external factor is infinite and comes to the heart, confirms it, yeah, it makes sense. Mind confirms it, and the heart confirms it, and feelings get satisfaction with it. That's why Nursi develops the word oneness of God into absoluteness of God. This is only the process that we have to go through. Of course, it is a kind of journey. We cannot come to the conclusion of absoluteness suddenly. No, we say there must be a creator. Majority of the world population says there is a creator, definitely. It is not a joke. Universe is so perfect, meaningful. Everything has purpose. So this purpose cannot be explainable unless otherwise it is referred to a creator. Something we don't know. But Iman is not we don't know. Yes, we cannot define the essence, but not being able to define the essence of infinite is the necessary definition of infinite, if you understand this sentence. Infinite means cannot be defined. Cannot be finite, correct, but defined as well. Cannot be defined. So if you like, undefinability of infinite is the only correct definition of infinite. That is what Nursi wants to conclude his journey in his writings, although there are some other sections, but we are almost towards the end of it. Yeah, we are end of it, really. A few pages, concluding pages come. But he is really trying to finalize his education with emphasizing on the importance of comprehending the infinity, absoluteness. That is all the examples that we read today so far are directly related to this subject, absoluteness of the Creator. Not only oneness. Oneness is correct, but it doesn't really carry what the meaning explicitly carry, what the meaning really should be presented to our feelings. There is one God. My feelings say, so what? Even there are two gods, so what? I don't know. There must be a creator, and that's it. One creator, but what is it to do with me? Who is it? The creator. A creator, but I need infinity. And do you see what I mean? Now, let me summarize it in a model of thinking. Consciousness is independently acting agent in human being, which is called in the Quran ruh. And then aql, which means ties up. Farah said aqala. It means really making a knot is aqala in Arabic. So ties up means you have an intention and you have a direction of the brain, or not the brain, I keep using this wrong way. Mind is employed in this way, and the conclusion and the reason for the conclusion, mind tries to connect these two things together, make somehow acceptable for human beings, or at least appear to be acceptable. If it is, for example, saying that the matter is the source of existence itself, it is not acceptable, really. Even those people claim it, I don't think they believe in it. It's their profession that they don't want to submit their existence to a higher being. So it is not really aql or reasoning in Arabic, aql. Yaqlun, taqlun. These languages are used, or ulul albab, this kind of language, zul aql, this kind of language is used in the Quran. It means we have to have a connection or not between what we claim and what the reasoning brings up. Connect with each other and make a note there. So that is my fixed idea now, or conclusion now. You can say, I can say that every equation is an aql. I'm not simplifying it. No. 2 plus 2 and equal 4. Now, what the equations is approved because aql. It means connected between 4 and between 2 and 2. This is what I mean now. Now, we have to understand these vocabularies. These are very meaningful vocabularies in the Quran. So the human mind does this, but sometimes, according to human free will, mind tries to make an equation between 2 plus 2 equals 5. Makes excuses. This is mathematical, this is a how do you say, abstract notion, but explaining the source of existence of the universe, you can easily say that the fruit on the branch of the tree is the product of the tree. You can easily say that, but can you confirm it and make the excuse in one way or another that cells are reproducing themselves according to their DNA codes, and DNA code developed throughout the millions or billions of years of evolution? You can make lots of excuses and try to make a knot there. It means reason about it. So we have to understand that reasoning depends on human choice, but consciousness not. Nowadays, materialist people, what do you mean? No. Appears to be. This is mathematical. I'm not saying 2 plus 2 makes 5 is aql. No, that is mathematical. It's obvious, abstract, so you cannot play with it. But explaining the existence of the universe, what do people do? Try to appear to be equal by saying a universe is created by the matters, the accidental developments or movements. I mean, is it equal? No, but appear to be. That's why they use their reasoning to find out the excuses to explain, to make it appear to be the correct. But this must be wrong, but depending on your free will. If you don't want to submit yourself to a creator and understand that you are given a purposeful existence by a conscious being, so you don't want to accept it, you can make excuses and look like an equation which is acceptable, but everybody knows that, conscious knows that it doesn't work. But you can use your aql, your reasoning, to employ it in order to find out excuses for your claim. They do that. But when it comes to the conclusion, especially as far as the existence is concerned, when it is presented to, no. Oh, that is what the Quran says. This is not true that you are saying equation is working. This is your zan and presented to the people as if it is an equation. That is, it is an equation. But in reality, the Quran says, be careful, it is just conjecture. Yeah. That is what the Quran says. But what we are trying to understand here, I think we talked about it in the beginning a lot, and I don't want to repeat again. Reasoning works according to human choice. We have to be extremely careful about it. If someone tries to bring evidence the conjecture is guess. Yeah, in Arabic, dhan. Now, where we were? Where were we?
You were saying that it is important to remember that Aql functions with free will.
Yes, but consciousness and feelings don't. But we can limit feelings. We cannot limit consciousness. It is ruh. But the feeling, again, with our preconditioned approach or choice, we can say, look, my sense of eternal happiness, I am telling you, or free will is now putting a limitation. There is no eternal happiness. You'd better shut up. Do you see what I mean? But desire for eternal happiness is already there. But what they say, it is just imagination. It is the influence of the environment, your cultural background, your family culture, etc., etc. Excuses, right? Excuses. So we have to understand that, we have to understand that the conclusion that the reasoning brings and presents to human feelings, the human feelings need to be satisfied, and this requires that anything which is a candidate to satisfy the human feelings must be essentially infinite. Why? Human feelings only can get satisfied with infinite. But we cannot say the same thing to akal, reasoning. These are the different categories of or the levels of existence. Everything has its own function there. Like my eyes are to see, my ears are to hear. I cannot see with my ear, I cannot hear with my eye, for example. If we notice what is going on here, if I am doubtful about something, if I just say, oh, I can enjoy my life without referring to God, what? Go back first. Be honest to your consciousness. Why? Because you cannot stop and limit anything to consciousness. It is absolutely free, and definitely everybody has this. And what you have to come there, first ask your consciousness and then come back. Whatever your reasoning concluded, present to your feelings. See whether accepts it or not. They are satisfied with it or not. That is why in Muslim scholarship, they said belief, the final belief confirmation takes place in the heart, right? Now we understand now why it takes place in the heart, because final decision is arrived in the heart. Heart is representative of the feelings, all feelings together. In the language of the Quran is heart, and everything non-material in human beings in the language of the Quran is ruh, spirit. So that is why Nursi is emphasizing with the examples of his writing a Quran on an atom with ether. It means, how do you say, weightless existent thing, ether. Nowadays they call it energy or something like that. Dark energy or dark matter, such and such, antimatter, such kind of concepts that matter is the concrete being and the other side of the matter is called blah, blah. In his ancient scholarship and philosophy, it was disputed under the name of ether. Anyways, that is something people are coming to, the quantum theory comes up with the non-existence of the particles, but only bubbles, something not really matter, but at the same time it is there. Something like that. Yeah, it is. They are talking in the ancient language of the philosophy, ether. So, anyways, it's not our subject, but it is very important that they are cheating people. They cannot really prove that a particle in an independent particle exists at all. So physically not demonstrable or laboratory demonstrations. You know that scientific, if a theory it claims to be true, it must be what? Experiential. It means you can apply it in the lab and you can repeat it. But none of them works in their understanding of particle. That's why testable, yes. You have to test it and you have to repeat it. Now, thank you for the correct language, Suhail. So you have to test it, you have to repeat it. They cannot repeat the real existence, independent existence of a particle. Any kind of particle, subparticle, still, you cannot do that. What did they say now? Something is there, something is not there. So, I mean, it was they find out the language now. Looks like bubbles. Anyway, they're
quark and anti-quark all together.
Yeah, yeah. Without anti-quarks, quark doesn't work, and other way around also. Anti-quark doesn't work if there was no quark, because we wouldn't be able to perceive its existence. Yeah, that is what they are trying to struggle to make. The equation is as aqli equation. This is what I mean. I mean, cheating people, 2 + 2 is equal 5, something like that. But they cheat themselves. The Quran says they cheat themselves. Don't worry about it. I mean, we are worrying because it influences us. New generations are carried away by them. So we have to understand all this process, and we have to appreciate the last stages of Nursi ends up with emphasize on the absoluteness of God. Okay, somebody wants to speak. Please, I should stop now.
Dr. Ali, if you can just clarify if possible. So far we've sort of talked about a somewhat, I mean, this is not, a statement, a correct statement in the sense that we talked about, the consciousness, the aql, and the heart in that sort of sequence where some knowledge or, some knowledge that exists, within the nature of the consciousness is then confirmed using the aql or the intellect with the heart. And thus, this is sort of the definition of Iman that we're talking about, that gets recognized by the aql but confirmed in the heart. If there is this knowledge that ultimately gets confirmed in the heart that originates or is represented by the consciousness, is it helpful to think about what is the relationship between the consciousness and the heart? And I think there is probably, I'm referencing this in reference to literature that sometimes puts the aql in a derogatory or low sense, such that, they just make a direct connection between the consciousness and the heart, which I have personally found problematic. But I just wanted to know, is there some productive or good way to think about a relationship that is direct between the consciousness and the heart?
So just to add to that a little bit, so the heart is that's conscience. That's what I'm thinking. So Brother Ali, you can share that, right? That's what you mean by heart? The thing that tells us what is right and wrong.
Now, conscience depends on what do we mean by the ruh, spirit, the word ruh. What do we mean by it? We know that we don't consist of only body, but something else as well. But something else. What is that? This something else has many aspects. One aspect is consciousness. The other one is conscience. The other one is feelings. Quran puts the feelings and the conscience into one word, as far as I understand, qalb, heart. Now, because of the similarity between consciousness and how the feelings function, because they both automatically function, but there is a difference. You cannot limit and direct your feelings, your consciousness to another way. It's independently functioning. Whereas feelings can be limited, denied. For example, I said, most of the people say what? Of course we love eternal happiness. That's why we believe in it. That's why we believe in Quran. In religion in general, they don't say Quran. They ignore Quran, by the way. Be careful. They always refer when it comes to creation and the creation from the perspective of a scripture, religious source. They go to Torah. They never refer to Quran because they cannot challenge the Quran, but they challenge the literal meaning of the Torah. This is the trick. They do turn blind to the Quran. That's very important because Quran is very clear. One God, absolute God, finish. But Torah explains something in a way that the God is resting sometimes after creating, taking his hand from creation, and automatically it works. They love it and they can challenge it. As long as automatically it works, I don't need God. That's what they say. Majority of the scientists believe in this way. Even there is a creator, none of my business. I have to understand how the universe is acting and what is my mission within the universe as far as my relationship with the universe is concerned. We have to understand this. Yeah, these subjects are not simple subjects to me. So the Quran says, what the difference is this: consciousness and feelings are not the same, but they have similarities to a very small portion. There is a similarity between consciousness and reasoning. Why? Both of them are acting independently from matter. Now, in this way, yes, correct. But materialist people now reducing aql to function of the brain. So reducing the consciousness at the level of reasoning, it means mind, intellect. What they do, they want to refer consciousness and reasoning to the function of the brain and materialize it. That is the trick. We have to be very careful about it. In order to understand the importance of it, we have to understand the difference between consciousness doesn't depend on free choice, whereas reasoning depends on free choice. But even if we don't use our free choice, we have the quality to reason. We reason on a simple way for no purpose. But when we start thinking about the reality of existence, then we have to use our reasoning under the control of our free will, so that the free will give a direction to it. Why the scholars use the Quran, يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا بِالْقَلْبِ, it means. وَلَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا. Why do they use it? They say the Quran says they have hearts and they reason with the heart. But this is the believer's attitude. It means it needs prayer decision. free will. So when the free will gets involved, what do? They reason according to the direction that the free will chooses, and from their direction, they bring the evidence and present it to human feelings. When the human feelings, which is represented in the Quran as heart, qalb, again, because human feelings is the heart in the Quran. Anyway, there is no independent word for it in the Quran. So heart, it means human feelings. So when the reasoning presented to the human feelings automatically confirms infinite source to get satisfied with this source. Automatically confirms it. That's why materialist people have to deny human feelings. And they say it is the product of social influence, impact, the impact of the environment, impact of your cultural family background, etc., etc. They have to deny it because their conclusion never, ever satisfies human feelings. That's why in scholarship, I said it several times, I will repeat because it's important, and from the question I understand that this importance is missed out. The classical scholarship describes Iman as happening in heart, not in mind, but doesn't mean that mind is excluded. But some of them says, I know them, what they say, somehow. But it doesn't work. It is not human reality as far as I understand. Because I reason about everything, and definitely I reason about the source of existence of this universe as well, and try to find out. But we have to know that reasoning functions in the direction free will decides, chooses. That is what is very important. The Quran, when the Quran says they reason with heart, it means they reason according to the requirements of our feelings, which look for eternity. Did you get it, Farah? It is very important, and this is the second time, maybe not, if not third time, you are asking the same matter. But as far as I understand, this is the second time at least. It means it is in your mind, which is very good to be busy with this kind of problems because the heart of the matter is there. Otherwise, saying that I believe in God, I don't believe in God, it is very superficial. It is important to say that I believe in God, and the other one says I don't believe in God. It is important for him as well. One of them goes to hell, one of them goes to paradise. But at the same time, we have to know how the process is taking place, and then accordingly we have to construct our model of thinking and presenting the Quranic word, Tawheed. That's the gist of our subject today. What is Ahad? What does Ahad mean? Ahad means one. This is literal. Is it satisfactory to our human feelings? No. Why not? But the Quran uses it, but Quran explains it with an وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ وَهُوَ عَلَى إِنَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. These kind of things are pointing to infinity of the qualities. We have to find a word to represent all this infinity of God's qualities. That's what we say. God's absolute power, God's absolute knowledge, God's absolute wisdom, absolute mercy, and absolute justice. Absolute, absolute. This qualification of the word, for example, power. Power means, okay, power everywhere, but absolute power. This qualification is important because only after this explanation or making it explicitly expressed, feelings say, yes, I need absolute one, infinite one. That's why we shouldn't be carried away with the vocabulary we used in the in for them there is an okay, thank you, Farah. Now, Quran uses it. So we cannot really literally take it and simply saying that, superficially saying that we don't really reason with mind, but we reason with our heart. No, that is superficial and not satisfactory at all. Because yes, we reason, but there are two ways of reasoning. Egoistic satisfaction of reasoning, it means egoistic stand. If I take an egoistic stand and then employ my mind to justify me, I cannot come to the correct conclusion. As Suhail pointed out, 2 plus 2 equals 5 is not a real act. It is the just conjecture. What does it mean? I cannot accept it. Why? Because, go back, my aql must be employed in the way that my heart expects. It means my feelings expect. Now, Quran says, if you reason according to the need and requirements of the feelings, you come to the right equation, aql. You understand, Farah? You or not? If not, time is really up and I should stop. I spoke a lot. We can talk about it. This is very essential. And I know you are thinking about this kind of subjects and you are reading this scholarship also because of your profession. And you have to be satisfied with it. Otherwise, we just stay on the superficial level. We have to understand it. Okay. Farah, I'm waiting.
I'm thinking, and I mean, your explanation has been sort of clear in how you're connecting these things. I think your explanation has been clear. I just have to sort of think about, get over the fact that why was this not presented by people, why is this connection missed? But at the same time, I think with Nursi's work and his putting it in context with his overall approach, it sounds to me consistent with the main claim that he's making on the what he calls the path of reality or truth, the haqiqat. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking more about this.
Now, if you are thinking of it, which is a very great thing to hear, carry on, please. But be careful. Classical scholarship is based on literal reading in general, right? So they are afraid of using the vocabulary which is not found in the Quran. We studied this, some of us at the beginning of the discussion. Wajibul wujud is not a Quranic terminology, but for example, Nursi uses it to make clear what self-existence of God, Qaim Bizzat, Qiyam. That is why Hayyu Qayyum in the Quran. Yes, Huwal Hayyul Qayyum. Allahu la ilaha illa hu al Hayyul Qayyum. Qayyum. So they are very much stuck to this word Qayyum, self-subsistent. It means literal translation, right? But there are some scholars, Qayyum, what does Qayyum mean? Self-subsistent, what does it mean? But it is, when we use the vocabulary such as necessarily existent one, it means that is your conclusion. Now, is Hayyu Qayyum wrong? Or forget about Hay. Qayyum wrong? Definitely not. Is understanding of Qayyum as self-existent correct? Definitely correct. But can we understand practically something from it? Nursi explains it. And also we use this vocabulary in among the philosophers, some philosophers, wisdom philosophers, and the classical scholarship is very conscious of not use the same vocabulary as the philosophers used. Of course, the philosophers may be wrong in many sense, but using this, Ibn Rushd, for example, heavily used this word, necessarily existent one, wajibul wujud. It doesn't mean that everything Ibn Rushd said is wrong. No, we have to be honest. This vocabulary explains what qayyum means for my practical reason. When I say necessarily existent one, I would say, why necessarily? Because you cannot think of it in another way which makes sense to you. Yeah, that is why the Quranic general trend is to follow the path of La ilaha illallah, something like E equals MC square, explains everything. It doesn't explain, but that's what it meant at the beginning. They claimed this. Let's forget about that. But everything must be formulated within this equation. La ilaha, therefore illallah. This is just reasoning. So when we use necessarily existent one, what does it mean? Not a contingent, not something whose existence is contingent, necessarily existent one. Do you have an example? No, because it is logical conclusion. Now, infinity, absolute, again, the same thing. How do we know absolute? How do you know infinite? Because we know finite. And we said the finite things needs as source of existence, external agent to be explained. This is the only way to say the source of existence of the finite things must be in and of itself infinite. Do you see what I mean? That is why something like necessarily existent one, something like a logical conclusion. But when you say logical conclusion, scholarship gets alert. That's what you have to be careful. That's what do you mean? Iman takes in the heart because Quran says so. Yeah, that's correct. But how the process goes, that's what I'm trying to tie up. Why Quran uses the relationship between Iman and heart? Because if reason works, aql works with heart, then a satisfactory conclusion can be reached, and this is called Iman in the language of the Quran. I hope it clarifies it, but I mean, we have to be open to more flexible way of thinking. What does it mean? What does it mean? Why do they do this? Why do they do in this way? Why other people do whatever they do in another way? We have to give the possibility to understand why do they use and insist on it. See the background tradition. Why the scholarship really, the Muslim classical scholarship is allergic to philosophy, because philosophers are free thinkings. They don't really accept anything literally in the Quran. What does it mean? I cannot really think better than God, so that the Quran said this and it must be the best, and how can I question the content of the Quran? And philosophers never ever agree with them. Why? Well, I cannot call except the Quran. If I am not satisfied, it is being a word, God's word. So I mean, both of them are exclusive to each other. Because of this tension, both of them are really insisting not to use with others vocabulary concepts. So Nursi says, just a minute, just calm down, man, calm down. Okay. let's see what's right in it and understand what they mean by it and why they insist on it. That's why he really, if you like, combines all traditions developed within the Muslim scholarship history, and then you find theology in it, you find tafsir and the methodology of tafsir in Nursi's writing, you find the methodology of prophetic tradition, how we inherit it, you find the methodology of reasoning in it, you find all these Sufi traditions, various ways of Sufi tradition, but not one-sided. Get the best side of it. Yep. I think that Suhail says what? Let me see. I like to think of the Quran as, providing providing the parameters from within the freely thinking, not being static. It means we have to be dynamic in understanding of the Quran. We have to be open to update our understanding of the Quran according to the requirements of the age, and we have to be we have to understand and realize that our belief cannot be static. It must be fluctuating up and down, up and down. The belief, by definition, belief cannot be static, because infinite cannot be put into a static position as far as human side is concerned. But for absolute God, the creator God, there is no static dynamic, or this kind of things are irrelevant for the absolute. That's what we have been studying in the text here. For a particle and for the whole universe is the same before God. Of course, in terms of this world, it means physical conditions of this world, one cannot be equal to infinite. Do you see what I mean? Or one cannot be equal to 1,000. Why? Within the conditions of this world, that is correct. But as far as the creator is concerned, there is no difference between 1 or 1,000 or trillion, quadrillion, whatever it is, because you cannot judge or estimate the content of infinite by counting means, numbers. You see what I mean? We cannot judge about the content of infinite with countable elements, 1, 2, 3. So with absolute, it cannot be counted. So we cannot say 1 or 1 trillion, it's the same, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. At least we understand that God, the concept of God, must refer to absoluteness of the creator. I spoke a lot today, and these are, this seems to be, but to me, very essential subjects, these are. And we have to really get tired of coming out of these problems and coming to a acceptable, satisfactory conclusion. And we have to know why we use this vocabulary and not the other, and the reason behind it, etc., etc. Thank you very much. I think you are tired of me now today.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, next Saturday, we will pick up from the second paragraph of page 633. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Akhru da'wahum anil hamdulillahi rabbil